We start, though, with Arsenal and that big blow that they've suffered ahead of the new season as William Saliba is injured for an extended period of time after suffering a back injury. So, could they go into the market for a new centre-back? Well, you can see Dave Reed joins us now to talk about this. Dave, I mean, it really is a big blow for Arsenal. Just bring us up to speed on the situation.
Yeah, huge blow, you have to say. William Saliba, one of, if not the best centre-back in the Premier League. I'm sure a lot of fans that aren't even Arsenal fans would say that he is a top centre-back. So to be losing him now, as we now know, for an extended period, is a significant blow for Arsenal. We knew that he was carrying an injury during the World Cup. He had told press conferences that he'd been carrying several niggles, he described it, for several weeks, a significant period of time that he'd been carrying those injuries. And he basically wanted to get through to the World Cup, play for France at the World Cup. But it was something that was ongoing during France's campaign at the World Cup. And then it all came to a head in the semi-final defeat to Spain. You'll remember the pictures where he sat down on the turf. He looked in real discomfort in the first half of that, what turned out to be a defeat against Spain. He came off. Now he's been seen by some of the Arsenal medical team. They've decided not to go for surgery, and it's going to be a managed recovery plan for him. But the fact is, it's going to be an extended period of time that he is going to be unavailable for selection. This is how Arsenal have got on with William Saliba, and without William Saliba, you can see they've won exactly 50% of their games without him, and a 68.5% win rate with William Saliba. And also, if you look at the points per game, there is a significant reduction when he's not in the side. That shows just how important he is to Mikel Arteta. Yeah, so no doubt he will be a big miss, but of course the summer window is open. Arteta might be forced to look for potential replacements. And I like this one, a potential battle between two England defenders for this role. So, two names that we can tell you about, John Stones and Ezri Konsa. So, Arsenal hold interest in the former Manchester City defender John Stones. He is now a free agent after leaving City over the summer. I mean, he's had an incredible career, 15 club career trophies, 6-time Premier League winner. The situation with Ezri Konsa is that there's also interest there, and Arsenal, from what we understand, have explored the conditions of what a deal might look like for Ezri Konsa, but that there is a significant gap in valuation between what Aston Villa would be looking for and what Arsenal at this stage are willing to pay. The situation is slightly complicated maybe with Ezri Konsa because he's got 2 years left on his contract, so it is crunch time for Villa and for the player as to what they decide to do next. We know that Villa would absolutely love to keep Ezri Konsa, crowning off last season with the Europa League trophy and also helping England, being a starter for England for most of that World Cup campaign. I mean, if you compare the minutes played, obviously Konsa has more durability. John Stones spent a period of last season out injured. Konsa played 34 Premier League games and is a real mainstay of that back four of Unai Emery. So lots of things that you can compare these to. I guess you get a little bit more experience and a little bit more know-how with John Stones. You get serious quality as well with both players. So be interesting to see which one, if either, they decide to push the button on. They do have lots of options within the ranks as well at Arsenal. Think about Calafiori, Gabriel, Mosquera, Ben White. Yurin Timber can also play centre-back. But the two I mentioned there at the end, Timber and White, they've had injury issues over the last year as well. So we'll see how that works out. Long way to go in this transfer window, but Arsenal, it seems like central defence is an area that they will need to look at. Yeah,
Morgan Rogers to Chelsea is a done deal, but Bruno Guimarães and Bradley Barcola could also be on the move this summer. James Young from Genius Sports joins me now. We're going to discuss those players from a statistical perspective. So we've had some big deals, haven't we, so far. Let's start with Rogers, because one of the big questions surrounding him is where he's going to fit in to this Chelsea side under Xabi Alonso, alongside Cole Palmer, ideally. What do the stats tell us about that?
Yeah, this is going to be really, really interesting, I think, if you just watch these two guys play, very similar style players. And what we're going to try and use the data to do is unpick that a little bit, see how they are actually different. Maybe they can work alongside each other. Maybe they have to work one behind the other. We'll wait and see how Alonso decides to play them when the season rolls on. But for now, we're going to jump in and take a look. I think Most notably, I think the big difference that really stands out is actually what they're doing off the ball. So just looking at these stats here, and we'll go through kind of one by one and explain what we're looking at here. But, you know, overall distance covered, Morgan Rogers covering a lot more ground off the ball than Cole Palmer is. That might not surprise many people. Definitely in the counter-pressing side of the game. So as soon as that ball's been turned over, he's really getting in there, putting pressure on the opposition right away, high up the pitch, trying to win the ball back. And runs off the ball, big significant difference here. If we're looking across really all of these categories, Morgan Rogers, we're talking of attacking midfielders in the top 20%. Cole Palmer, more like the top 50%, top half of all players. So this is an area where Morgan Rogers really stands out. We've seen from Alonso in the past, he's very disciplined with his side. They work very hard, and that's something Morgan Rogers is going to do for him out of possession. If we then flip that around and look at how they perform with the ball, a lot more comparable here, very similar. Right off the bat, we look at the shots on target, barely any difference whatsoever as a per 90 stat there. And passes leading to a shot as well, very, very equivalent. Again, in both these two categories up at the top here, we're talking kind of the top 15% of attacking midfielders in the Premier League last season. In a couple of areas where Cole Palmer is definitely the better player, I think, where he breaks the back line and when he dribbles the ball. You can see here in both those categories, Palmer has the advantage. He's actually in the top 5% there for all attacking midfielders. It's a really strong part of his game, particularly those backline breaking passes. You'll see him, you know, slipping in João Pedro or someone like that in behind, giving them that nice open run on goal. So something that he has more of a strength of. Rogers hasn't shown as much of, but maybe just because he wasn't asked to do that quite as much at Villa. And then finally on the progressive passes. So progressive passes where the ball moves 25% of the distance closer to the goal. So he's really driving that ball forward. You can do that by carrying the ball as well, but passing is a way that these attacking midfielders want to try and get that ball closer to the end result of getting it in the back of the net, an area where Morgan Rogers is that bit stronger than Cole Palmer.
It's going to be interesting to see actually what kind of formation Alonso goes with. That will depend on whether he can fit them in. Will he go 3 at the back like he often did for Leverkusen, play 2 number 10s, and that could be quite tasty, or will he stick with a more traditional 4 at the back? We will see. Arsenal missed out on Morgan Rogers. All of the chat and the build-up to him going to Chelsea was that he might go to Arsenal. In the end, he's going to be in a blue shirt. Another player, though, that Arsenal have been heavily linked with is Bruno Guimarães. That's been for a few days, weeks now. What do you think he would add to their midfield if you look at the stats?
Yeah, again, really interesting to kind of break this down a bit. I mean, the first thing we'll call out here is it won't be what he's doing off the ball with Bruno Guimaraes. We're looking at sort of the top half of all centre midfielders in the league for tackles and interceptions. It's not the strong point of his game. Okay. You know, he does work there, but he's not. That's not where he really excels. Where Arsenal will be really interested in Guimaraes, I think, is going to be in possession with the ball and what he can do there. So if we take a look at some of the stats that he brings up when he's carrying the ball, particularly his passing, and his shooting stats, they're very strong indeed. So in all of these categories here, we're looking at the top 5% of centre midfielders in the Premier League last season. Passing under pressure, this is obviously something increasingly with the pressing game we see nowadays, something that is he really, really excels at. Rarely gives the ball up under pressure and finds his man, even when he's being put under intense pressure. Passes leading to a shot, again, very high in the top 5%. He's very creative and he's creating opportunities for his teammates really well. And again, we talked about this progressive passing stat with Morgan Rogers. Actually, Guimaraes even stronger than Rogers in this particular category, and really good at moving the ball further upfield. So very, very strong in all of these categories for Bruno, and something that will be really valuable to that Arsenal team if they can prize him away from Newcastle. When it comes to shooting, again, not quite as strong as his passing statistics, but still very good indeed. Very good at getting his shots on target. Again, we're talking kind of top 10% here of players in the league last season. A really interesting one is actually this middle one, fouls won. So what he does there is just relieve the pressure on his team. You know, he draws that foul, he wins fouls, and just calms the whole thing down a bit.
Using his body, isn't he, in that situation?
Very good in the middle of the park at doing that. So as well as playing the ball well under pressure, he can also just win a free kick under pressure as well, and make the life easier for the rest of his teammates when they're really getting pressured hard by the opposition. So again, in possession of the ball, exceptionally strong, and covers a good amount of ground as well. Again, we're talking kind of top 10% of all centre midfielders.
Top 10%, really? 8K? Not quite Declan Rice levels, but not a million miles off, is what you're saying.
Exactly. Rice obviously exceptionally strong in that area, and how those two play against one another will be really, really interesting, or with each other, I should say, will be really interesting. But again, very, very strong statistically in all of these categories.
OK, yeah, I'm sure Arsenal fans already keen on him anyway. Now they've seen these, they're probably even more keen. Right, let's talk about PSG's Bradley Barcola. So it's another player that Arsenal have been linked with in the last few weeks. Liverpool also, though, have been interested and linked with him as well. What would be the better fit for Barcola, do you think, of those two teams?
Yeah, so what we're looking at here is the opportunity that he might have in either of those teams. So we're going to look at what Iriola did at Bournemouth last season, how he liked to play. In actual fact, that left wing position that Barcola would most likely slot into, the Bournemouth left wingers had more shots than any other position in that team. They're actually the most shots on target of from that left wing position of any team in the league as well. So that's clearly a route that Iriola likes to take down through that left wing, and again that can be seen in these statistics here.
That could be to do with the players he had available to him as well at Bournemouth, right?
Very much so, very much so. But if he can find a player like Barcola to fit and play that role, then obviously he's going to leverage him heavily and suits the style of play he likes to play. So a lot of touches there. This is number one in the whole of the Premier League last season. Right. And likewise, the passes into the left wing are number one in the Premier League last season. Conversely, looking at Arsenal fit-wise, you know, it's not going to surprise anyone that they're much more weighted towards the right wing. With Saka over there, Odegaard likes to drift over there as well. So less opportunity, significantly less opportunity for Barcola if he were to make that move to Arsenal. Yeah.